What's going on, guys? I'm going to install the crank on the 5.7 this morning. Get everything cleaned up, and get ready to put some bearings and stuff in it, and get her in, get her torqued down. So let's get started. So what I like to do is, even though the block's been cleaned and everything, I still like to spray stuff down, kind of get some dirt, if there's any dirt contaminants in there. Use a cloth that's not going to peel on there so you don't get it in your motor. But I just sit there, spray my surfaces down, wipe them out really good. And that way you don't have any dirt or grime going in between the bearings. But I also like to sit there and clean the crank as well. You know, it's got back to the machine shop, it's polished, but you know, there can be some debris and stuff on it. You always want to sit there and just make sure everything is on a clean surface, and so that way everything rides smooth. And like I said before, each ball is not going to come apart. Make it all nice and clean. And a lot of y'all know this motor was supposed to get built here about a year ago, but things kind of got in the way, so everything got put on hold. So this thing sat for a little bit, and unfortunately it started rusting a little bit, but I was able to clean all the surface rust off and the cylinders and everything. I restuck those so it wouldn't rust again, and sprayed the crank and everything down with lube. But if you're gonna sit there and you're gonna start working on a motor and you realize, okay, I'm not gonna get to it right now, cover that motor up. You can soak it down with WD, you can wipe it down with motor oil. Hell, back in the day, my dad used to use axle grease and sit there and just spread it all in there and wrap it up in the bag. So that way later on down the road, he wanted to get building on it, he'd tear it all down, wipe it down, it was good to go, no rust. So for this part, I'm going to take my gloves back off. But you always want to make sure you got the right bearings. In this case, this crank was standard on the bearings. The only thing we did went and had it polished, so we're going to go ahead and reinstall with the standard bearings. But I do appreciate everybody keeping up with me. You know, I do a lot of work over at Tony's garage on the SlagHammer. It's definitely been a hell of a ride so far with that car. But looking forward to getting it done. I appreciate the suggestions in other videos as far as about the body work, you know, getting the air sander and stuff like that. And trust me, I kind of agree with y'all on some of this, but at the end of the day, Tony's kind of wanting to do it with these guys that, you know, you can't afford a whole lot, man, you know, and you're on a budget. So we've been doing a lot of stuff by hand. Yes, it takes longer, but you know, it is what it is. But I mean, I've enjoyed it. I mean, it's got its moments, but you know, it's gonna be fun down, you know. I like where the cars became, and it's going to be a cool little ride. Now what I'm doing now, I'm soaking the bottom bearings. A lot of people use assembly lube and stuff like that. I actually like using some Lucas products. I'm actually using a Zinc Plus additives. No, you really don't need this on this motor, but I like it. Because the assembly lube, to me, gets pretty tacky. And especially when you're trying to set bearings and stuff. I like this because it's thick, but it allows a little bit more free play. Alright, so let's get all this set in place. Now on the shims, I like putting a little bit on there. Kind of holds it in place. If I can get my hands to work this morning. That. And sometimes you gotta make sure you put it in the right spot. It's still a little early this morning. But I like building these little motors, man. You know, yes, they're expensive, but I like the horsepower you can get out of them. Alright, so let's get this crank in place. Trying to stay semi-clean. I gotta go to work tonight. Heavy girl. Make sure I don't get my finger in the back of this voice here. There we go. Fits like a bug. So go ahead and get the bearings on the main caps. You know, you hear a lot of people with torque yield boats. You know, you can only use them once. You talk to some of the mechanics at the dealership and stuff, and a lot of times they'll reuse them. A couple of techs I've talked to, especially on the head bolts and stuff, they use them up to 3 times. Get my little hammer here and tap that in a little bit. They do fit tight, which is a good thing. Make sure everything lines up. But you always want to try to keep clean. That way you got no debris. You know, we got a lot of things over at the shop, over at Tony's, because we did a lot of body work. And dust flying around the shop. You know, and everybody's like, man, all that stuff's getting in those motors. For the most part, we try to keep them clean out of the way when we're doing stuff. And then when we're done, they get moved around back to where they're at. I mean, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on over there. You got like 3 or 4 different builds going on at a time. You got the junkyard jets doing their deal. Tony's doing Plan Z. And of course, I'm sitting there doing SlagHammer. But that's one of the reasons why I want to go ahead and get everything done on the body and get that thing shot. because we got to do a massive clean down on that shop when we're done. And yes, we're going to be putting plastic up in the area that I'm working in with SlagHammer. Control the dust down just to that area so it's not getting into the shop. But it'll get organized over there. We got plans to add some more workbench tables in, probably some shelving and stuff. But you know, it's a little bit at a time. But Kiwi's gonna be doing some videos shortly, hopefully here on the Mitsubishi and stuff. This is what the motor's for. Kiwi's primarily gonna be doing all the body, paint, fabrication, and stuff like that. I'm building the motor for him. And then, I don't know if I'm gonna help him install or not yet. I'll have to get with him. And then also, Kiwi's gonna try to get into the No Name Nationals. And I think we're going to be doing another build with him, motor-wise, Tony and I. He's got a Barracuda, we're going to be putting a 446 pack down in. And I'm kind of looking forward to that, so we got to get the motor over to Tony's shop here soon, go through it, make sure it's all good. It's a brand new motor, it's never been fired up, but we just want to go in there and make sure, you know, everything's good on it before it does get fired up. That one just got him off this line. There we go. For you guys that build these 5.7s, you can find them almost anywhere, and they're getting fairly inexpensive to buy. Me personally, I go out and I try to buy what I can, because parts are expensive, and I kind of stockpile them over here for other builds. Yes, they're used parts, but I also inspect them to make sure they're going to do what they need to do. And you can pick them up anywhere between $250 to $700, depending on the motors. Down the road, I like to start building some 6.1s and some 6.4s. But I'm waiting for the price to come down on those. So I stick with my 5.7s. And with this 5.7, here we're actually doing the eagle head swap on it. This is a pre-eagle motor, which is from 03 to 08. And of course, y'all know everything's had their issues. But I like doing the eagle head swaps. You get more compression. You don't have to worry about the valve seats dropping in them. And a lot of guys ask, you know, what does there entail in doing an eagle head swap? You know, they'll go out and buy the heads and don't buy anything else. So with the eagle head swap, you want to get everything. You want to get the rocker arms, the push rods. You want to try to find an eagle intake to go with it. If you're using in a truck application and you want to keep all your accessories, you need to go and get an aftermarket, like an OCP intake, and those work out pretty good. That's what we got on the truck outside. And you get to keep all your accessories. You ain't got to worry about relocating and stuff like that. And also need to get the valve covers for the eagle heads, because your standard pre-eagle valve covers will not fit. When they came out the eagle heads, the rockers actually sit up more than on the pre-eagle heads, so they won't bolt down all the way. And if you're putting a cam and stuff in it, you know, you want to check your push rod length, because with these, you know, a lot of people do an 070 gasket on it. That gets you down 11.5 to 1. And you can use the Eagle push rods, but you're going to be at almost zero lash with them. And but you know, it's just better just to turn around and just get the right push rods. But you guys out there that are budget savvy and stuff, I mean, you can do an eagle head swap. It's fairly inexpensive. You'll see guys that do the motors and stuff, you know, they got on the marketplace, they got the heads for sale for $500 or $600, which is about the going rate. But sometimes you can pick up the whole motor. You know, it's like when we did the Ethan's truck, we bought a complete motor just for the heads, and I was able to sell off parts, which basically paid for itself. And so basically his motor build minus the cam and the intake was basically almost free. So in the total build we've got on that thing, I mean, we got about, let's see, the intake was $1,100. The 6.1 rails were about another 50-60 bucks. And the cam, of course, it was about $400 something, $500 something, something like that. But I mean, for what we got in it, for what the horsepower, we got almost 500. You know, so it's fairly inexpensive, so they're out there. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and start torquing these down. They're 21 1 millimeter on one part, but it's actually 20 foot-pounds and 90 degrees. Yes, these are Torquillo bolts. So let's get started on that. But I gotta find my socket. I got a special socket that fits on here. Might be my other toolbox. Now, before I do my final 90 degrees, I just kind of want to make sure everything's going to spin on it. Everything looks good. I also want to check my end play. I'll go down here to my shim. So basically I've got, it says there was between 0.1 to 0.5, I got 0.3 right now, so it's within tolerance where it needs to be at. But you always want to make sure nothing's binding up. And this is like moving pretty smooth, so I like it. So we'll go ahead and finish working down. So in this, we already got it 20, so now we're going to do the 90 degrees. We're trying to do this on camera here. Make sure I'll unlock your wrench here. And then get put here. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to my breaker bar. Still trying to wake up this morning. But I hope everybody had a good weekend. It's about 90 degrees. video, just simple crank install. And then later on this week, I'm gonna go ahead and get the pistons in, get the rod bearings in. Still got to order a pickup tube for the oil pan and a timing chain set. But other than that, we got everything else here. But thanks for the little deal. Hanging with me this morning, watching this. Hopefully I get a little bit better down the road here on explaining things. I'm not really used to doing that. I'm just used to getting her done. But thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you down the road.